Okay, welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take the source material you send us, articles, notes, research, and really unpack it just for you.
Exactly. We pull out the key bits, the important takeaways, so you can get up to speed fast.
Think of it as us helping you sift through the info you've already flagged as interesting.
Yep. Cutting right to the core of it.
And today, we're diving into a specific source you shared. It's an excerpt from Politico. The article's called Thunberg and the Gaza Flotilla Coalition.
Right. And our job here, just to be clear, is to focus only on what this particular source is reporting. We'll look at what it says about Greta Thunberg's public comments on the Israel-Palestine situation and, crucially, the connection it reports with the Gaza Flotilla Coalition.
So the goal is really simple. Help you quickly grab the main points and the perspective from this specific article excerpt. Nothing more, nothing less.
We're sticking strictly to the text provided.
Okay, let's get into it then. So according to this Politico piece you shared, it looks at Greta Thunberg's actions regarding the Israel-Palestine conflict.
Yeah, it points to statements she's apparently made, showing solidarity with Palestinians.
The article brings up an example, right? Something about her using the phrase, strike for climate justice in Palestine.
Exactly. And what seems, well, interesting in how the source presents it is this link it draws between her climate platform, which everyone knows, and this specific geopolitical focus.
Sort of like an intersection of her usual advocacy with something maybe newer or more specific in this context.
That seems to be how the article frames it, yeah. And that brings us to the second part of the title.
The Gaza Flotilla Coalition.
Right. The source goes into a reported association or connection between Thunberg and this group.
Okay, how does it describe that connection?
Well, the article notes, for example, that the Gaza Freedom Flotilla Coalition, that's the group they publicly supported Thunberg's statements.
Okay.
And it also reports on, let's say, potential interactions or maybe shared messages. But, the actual depth of any direct coordination, the article is quite careful in how it words that.
So it's not necessarily saying she's like running the show with them, but more highlighting these moments of apparent alignment. Or maybe mutual mentions.
That seems to be the angle presented in the source, yes. It's pointing out overlaps, acknowledgments between her stated views and what this group says or does. The source might also briefly describe the coalition itself.
Often known for trying to break the Gaza blockade by sea. Right, that's usually how they're described.
According to sources like this one. And, this really touches on how news sources sometimes connect public figures to specific movements or groups.
Yeah.
This Politico excerpt you shared, it's doing just that. It's looking at the reported overlaps between Thunberg's positions and this group's actions or endorsements.
Right. So the value for you, the listener, is seeing how this specific source puts those pieces together. Her words, the coalition's stance, and these reported links or recognitions. It's the article's specific framing we're looking at.
Exactly. And that, I think, covers the main ground reported in this particular excerpt. You've got Thunberg's reported position on the conflict.
And the article's specific details on her reported association, or maybe alignment, with the Gaza Flotilla Coalition. Okay, so let's just quickly recap the main points we've pulled strictly from this source, this Politico article excerpt. The source reports Greta Thunberg expressing solidarity related to the Israel-Palestine situation.
And it details these reported instances of connection or alignment with the Gaza Flotilla Coalition, like the coalition referencing her statements.
Yeah. And again, just to stress, this deep dive has focused only on presenting the information that was in this specific article excerpt. We're just reporting impartially on what it contains.
Right. We're not adding interpretation, just reflecting the source's content on her reported views and that described connection.
And, seeing how a source like this reports on a public figure's actions and connects them to a group, well, it helps you understand how news narratives get constructed. It's one example of how those links are drawn.
Definitely. It gives you a sense of the reporting process itself. Yeah.
So maybe a final thought for you to consider, based only on how this specific source presented things.
Okay.
How does the article's choice of, say, which statements or interactions to highlight, how does that shape your understanding of this reported link between Thunberg and the coalition?
And maybe what questions does this specific source's framing raise for you about the whole dynamic between well-known people and these kinds of international movements?
Just something to chew on, based purely on what this source shared with us. We hope this deep dive into this specific piece was useful for you.